Hi, welcome to the Dartarian Show. I'm Alexander Dartarian.
And I'm Dominic Sykes.
And today we're going to be talking about the most elusive, yet most documented cryptid on the planet, Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's pretty interesting the fact that, for something that we have no solid, picture or video evidence on. I mean, there's been a couple of videos and pictures here or there which they've been unable to prove that they were a hoax, but at the same time they can't prove that it's real. So it's kind of ambiguous. But what's interesting, like you were saying, is the fact that it's as well documented as is, but still know nothing about.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything revolves around theories and
speculation.
Yeah, speculation. There was a film in the 60s, I think. 60s, or we'll get to it. But there is a film that actually shows a Bigfoot bent over in a river, like near a river, and then walking away.
Yeah.
And they have not proven that that's a hoax. The people have come out and said it's a hoax that were involved or whatever.
I've heard so many different stories about people that have had Bigfoot sightings or know people that have had Bigfoot sightings. Just recently, I had read something somewhere where there was this dude claiming that he had seen Bigfoot when it was being treated after they evacuated it from the forest fires in California.
Mm-hmm.
They were this dude was claiming that he was there and he saw them, cart this giant hairy humanoid creature away to, I guess, treat it.
Sure, wasn't it referring to a bear?
I mean, it probably was a bear, but the guy said it was Bigfoot.
Well, you know me. I 100% believe in cryptids.
Yeah.
So one of the few things I actually do believe in.
I'm either or. It depends on how many sightings, how much evidence there is.
Well, I'm hit or miss with the cryptids, right? I believe that they do exist, but I don't believe 100% the true, all of the descriptions that are out there about, especially the chupacabra and Mothman. Like, I think that's something else that just we haven't discovered yet.
Right.
And obviously, I don't believe that there is a creature that predicts natural disasters like the Mothman does.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that, but I do believe that maybe that there was a species that, was different that they looked at. Same thing with Bigfoot. I think that maybe he's a species that we haven't discovered yet.
Right. And with most of the cryptids, I think that could be the case. And like most cryptids, I think Bigfoot, though, and the Yeti and stuff like that, those are exceptions, because if they are real, they would have either a near human-like intelligence or, close to at least ape-level intelligence. Unlike some of the other cryptids, which would just be animals.
They could be even Neanderthals that have survived and not evolved yet.
I can't see that happening, though.
I can, 100%.
Really, though?
Yeah.
With as much human expansion as there's
pygmies. Been? They found pygmies in, not even that long ago, and pygmies are natural evolution.
I feel like we would have gotten some concrete evidence by now that Neanderthals were still kicking.
The world's big, man.
I guess, yeah.
All right. Well, as we go through the story of Bigfoot, and we're going to talk about some sightings and stuff, but stay tuned. There might be actual evidence, DNA evidence, that Bigfoot exists, and we're going to talk about that later in the episode.
All right.
Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is purported ape-like creature said to inhabit the forests of North America. Many dubious artifacts have been offered in attempts to prove the existence of Bigfoot, including anecdotal claims of visual observations as well as alleged video and audio recordings. And these audio recordings, they're still happening today. One week ago, there was a audio recording of a Bigfoot.
Really?
Yes.
Are we going to put that on the thing?
I might put a link to it. Yeah. I don't know, because I don't want to play it on the podcast because it's copyright.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble with copyright.
I just meant put it on the
Instagram.
Link on the
and I'll put a link in the description and stuff for it. But the photographs and cast of large footprints, some are known to and admitted to a hoax, of course. Mm-hmm. Tales of wild, hairy humanoids exist throughout the world. Such,
like the skunk ape that we talked about in Florida.
Absolutely, and with Native American and many other indigenous people, especially up in Canada, First Nation, they actually have stories about Sasquatch or Sasquatch-like creatures.
Right.
So it's been around a long, long time. Bigfoot is an icon within the fringe of the subculture of cryptozoology.
Cryptozoology. You don't think it could just be like a gorilla that escaped from a zoo or something? At some point.
I mean, it could be.
I mean, I know we don't have gorillas naturally in the wild here in North America, but you never know. Maybe somebody tried to.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's more tigers in captivity in America than there are in the wild.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, 100% there could be gorillas in America that have escaped someone who just wanted to have a zoo. Like
gorilla, yeah.
Like Tiger King or something, but he was like Gorilla King.
Yeah.
So it's obviously, a huge, huge possibility. Picture or video evidence such as the Patterson and Gimlin film, allegedly depict a female Bigfoot walking through the woods. Yeah, so I mean, that's huge. That's video evidence, and it's not like out of focus. It's actually
recent?
Clear. No, this is back in the 60s.
Oh, well then.
I mean, yes, but but think about it. What other thing has someone captured a clear video? It's not. It's not blurry. There's pictures and stuff with frames. Of this thing, to where you can actually see what it is.
Unfortunately, if we were still living in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even early 90s, I could see it being a lot harder to fake than it would be today.
Yes,
today it would be so easy to fake a video.
Yeah, I know, it's unaltered. They checked all that stuff. That was one of the first things they checked to see if it was a hoax.
I was going to say, because
the video's real. They just don't know if it's someone in a costume or if it's real. I
think that even with hard videographic evidence, people still won't believe it. There's obviously the people that are huge Bigfoot fanatics that would 100% believe it, but the general population, even after seeing the picture, because of the world we live in today, just they automatically would brush it off like it was fake.
Yeah. And as we're saying with these Bigfoot sightings, they just don't start with that video. That was the first time that modern day people have reported it. Many indigenous cultures across North America have had cave drawings of Bigfoots. The Toll River...
Is that the plural? Bigfoots? Or is it Bigfootai? Or Big Feet?
I don't know. I think it's just Bigfoot. I think it's just called Bigfoot.
I like Big Feet.
But the Tool River Indian Reservation in Central California, cave drawings have created by a tribe of Utes. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. At a site called Painted Rock, or allegedly by some to depict a group of Bigfoot called the Family.
No, I guess that answers my question.
Yeah, so it depicts a whole family.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And we'll share that on Instagram as well with that thing, because it's quite interesting. I mean, they don't really look like Bigfoot in the picture. You guys can decide whether that you think they are.
What I was going to say about that, you said they're cave drawings from early indigenous.
Yeah.
Maybe that Bigfoot was around back then, but they
look
died
like
out.
Bears, though. Look at that.
Let me see. Hang on 1 second.
I mean, they look like bears. Like, you guys can decide, but I personally think it's a bear standing up on its hind legs.
Yeah, well, I guess I could kind of see how it could be a Bigfoot, but it probably was like a bear or something like that. Because
yeah, well, there was a bear that went extinct. Thank God, because no one
cave bears.
Yes, no one would be living in Canada
right now.
It's like
twice the size of a grizzly.
Yeah, it's huge. It was twice the size of a polar bear, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, it's huge, man. But so obviously, but it's they estimated the hairy man drawlings is what they're calling them. Estimated around between 500 to 1,000 years ago.
Right.
So 1,000 years ago,
they were still talking, or
they were. That's when the first reported evidence of Bigfoot
sightings. Yeah.
Sightings have 1,000 years ago.
Right.
So 1,000 years ago, right? If these things are real, right? There's a video evidence of it in the 60s, 50s or 60s. We'll get to it. But 1,000 years ago, this is amazing because there's creatures out there. You remember like with the Kraken stories? We found recently that the Kraken may have been
squid.
real. Yeah, colossal squids. They may have been colossal
but they
squids.
wouldn't have come up to attack ships.
No, they wouldn't have. But if something bumps into your ship, and you look down and you see this 100-foot squid, you're going to exaggerate a little bit. I mean, come on. That, and if someone falls in the water and that colossal squid will eat you, your food.
They live way down deep. They don't get anywhere near the surface of the water unless they're like washed up on shore.
Maybe now.
Maybe, yeah.
Back when the Vikings were roaming the seas, I mean, it was a lot clearer. We didn't have coal and all that crap,
all the pollution and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they dove deep.
Were close to the surface back then.
Yeah, and the ozone layer's like crap now. So
I heard the ozone layer was repairing itself.
I don't know. I can't. The scientists are weird, man.
They can't make up their mind whether or not it is global warming or not global warming. The ozone layer has a hole in it. It doesn't have a hole in it. You know.
Okay, like I said, there's been many of indigenous tribes across North America that have different stories of wild man, hairy man, Sasquatch. There's one where that's where you get the word Sasquatch from is from a nation.
Right.
I'm not going to attempt to pronounce.
It's probably named after the Saskatchewan mountains. No, that'd be stupid. Never mind. Sasquatch.
A stone giant. There's another name for it. Stone giant. There was also a natives that was a race of cannibalistic men living at the peak of Mount St. Helens.
Really?
In southern Washington. Yeah.
When was that?
That in 1847.
Jeez. Cannibals on Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was before it erupted.
No, obviously, yeah. That was in the 80s. But yeah, so like all these sightings and stuff. So, I mean, like President Theodore Roosevelt wrote a book in 1893. Yeah, talking about a foul-smelling bipedal creature ransacked his beaver trapping camp, stalked him, and later became hostile when he fatally broke his companion's neck in the wilderness near the Idaho-Montana border.
Dang,
this is a president of the United
yeah.
States. Yeah. Roosevelt notes that Berman, his friend, appeared fearful while telling the story, but attributed the trapper's folkloric German ancestry to the potentially influence them. So he was just like, yeah, it's your influence and stuff. So
I don't know. Maybe there's just like a sub race of missing links between us and apes. They're just living out there somewhere.
That's what I really think it is. Obviously, and like I said, most of our evidence, our early evidence, comes from indigenous people.
Yeah.
Obviously, because they were here a lot longer than we were.
I want to know the very first person to ever have claimed to have seen Bigfoot, and what their story would have been. That would have been interesting.
Well, there's another
because obviously it's spread,
to
where it's as big as it is today. But there had to have been an original, an original Bigfoot sighting that kind of kicked off the whole shebang.
Well, there is another possibility. In the early 1830s, a Wyandot chief was nicknamed Bigfoot due to his significant size, strength, and large feet. Also, Potawatomi chief Malaksak, known as Chief Bigfoot, is today synonymous with the area Walworth County, Wisconsin, and has a state park and school named for him. Also, a 19th century Texas Ranger was nicknamed Bigfoot due to his large foot. So, I mean, like,
Yeah, but I don't think that's
but
the same
anybody could
thing.
be nicknamed Bigfoot.
Sure, but they're not talking about just the name. They're talking about like sightings of giant, hairy,
Okay.
ape-like creatures.
Well, in the 19th century and early 20th centuries, at least 2 enormous marauding grizzly bears were widely noted in the press and each nicknamed Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
The first grizzly bear called Bigfoot was reportedly killed near Fresno, California in 1895 after killing sheep for 15 years.
That's another thing I was wondering about, by the
Oh
way.
my God, his weight was estimated to 2,000 pounds.
That's a ridiculously big bear.
Yeah.
That's a 2-ton bear.
Yeah. The second one was between 1890s and 1900s between the Snake and Salmon rivers. The supernatural powers were attributed to it.
I wonder if Bigfoot could have been real at one point, but died out and no longer is real. We're just chasing.
No, there's too many sightings.
You think?
There's too many. There has to be something. I think most of them are probably bears.
Yeah, bears are
But
fake
I
altogether.
but according to Life Science, the magazine,
Right.
there have been over 10,000 reported Bigfoot sightings in this continental United States alone. About 1/3 of all claims of Bigfoot sightings are located in the Pacific Northwest,
Around California, Oregon,
yeah,
Washington State, stuff like that.
with the remaining reports spread throughout the rest of North America. Most reports are considered mistakes or hoaxes, even by those researchers who claim Bigfoot exists.
Right.
So obviously, yeah, bears. It's pretty much
I was gonna
mostly
say,
bears.
I don't know. And you, even if you leave the United States, you go to something like the Himalayas and you get the Yeti, which is similar, but just like the
White.
version that lives in the snow,
Yeah.
or the colder climates,
Yeah.
like a polar bear version of Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be
Pretty much.
bigger, too. The
Yeah.
Yeti's supposed to be bigger.
Yeah, maybe.
Sightings predominantly occur in the northwestern region of Washington, Oregon, California, Northern California, and British Columbia. Other prominent areas of supposed sightings include the rural areas of the Great Lakes region and the southeastern United States. So like Florida and stuff.
Yeah.
According to the data collected from the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO, Bigfoot Sightings Database in 2019, Washington has over 2,000 reported sightings.
Yeah.
California, over 1,600. Pennsylvania, over 1,300. New York and Oregon, over 1,000.
Pretty much anywhere where there are big swaths of forest.
Well, you'd think that, but Texas has 800.
Really?
Yeah, Texas. And, I mean, there's forests
There's
in
some
Texas.
forest, yeah, but
But did you know that, like, 98% of Texas is, like, private land?
I'm not surprised.
There's, like, maybe a couple hundred acres of just
That's free.
national forest. That's it.
Wow.
Everything else is private.
Huh.
The debate over the legitimacy of Bigfoot sightings reached a peak in the 1970s, and Bigfoot has been regarded as the first widely popularized example of pseudoscience in American culture. Which I wouldn't call it pseudoscience. I would just call it cryptozoology. I mean, is that pseudoscience?
Cryptozoology.
Yeah, but that's
I
not
don't know.
pseudoscience.
I don't know what's. I have no idea.
Pseudoscience is false science. It's fake.
Is it?
Yeah, like
that's a word I
like
did not
astronomy, like like the zodiac symbols. I would call
that horoscopes.
Yeah, horoscopes. I would call that pseudoscience.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in that. There's other people that do. A couple of my good friends believe in the horoscopes and stuff.
Yeah, so it's a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific methods. So it's basically science that's not been proven.
Yeah.
We're not using the scientific method, which is the proper way to do things.
But are Bigfoot dangerous?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I would assume any animal or anything would be dangerous if you're in its territory or around its children or family or whatever.
Yeah, you would think so too, especially if it's more animalistic. But if it's more
If it's
humanoid,
more intelligent,
yeah,
then it probably wants to hide more than it wants to. Especially if they're like a dying breed.
Well, I have alleged behaviors of Bigfoot.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
All right. Some Bigfoot researchers allege that the Bigfoot throws rocks as a territorial display.
Huh.
and for
bears don't do that.
communication. No, they don't. They do not do that.
Yeah, so
But gorillas do.
yes.
Other alleged behaviors include audible blows struck against trees or wood knocking, as they call it.
So
Further alleged to be commutative.
similar to how gorillas will pound on their chest.
Yeah. I mean, but if you have a big gorilla, man, pound on their chest. If you're in a location where you don't think a gorilla would be,
It would be that would be
it would be
terrifying.
intimidating as crap. So I don't know. Skeptics argue that these behaviors are easily hoaxed. Obviously, I mean, most things can be hoaxed, especially nowadays. Additionally, structures of broken and twisted foliage seemingly placed in specific areas have been attributed by some to Bigfoot behavior. In some reports, lodgepole pine and other small trees have been observed bent, uprooted, or stacked in patterns such as weaved and crisscrossed, leading some to theorize that they are potentially territorial markings. Some instances have also included entire deer skeletons being suspended high in trees.
Wow.
In Washington State, a team of amateur Bigfoot researchers called the Olympic Project claimed to have discovered a collection of nests that primatologists study them. That they had primatologists.
Yeah.
The people that
Study gorillas and stuff.
study gorillas and their conclusion is that they appear to have been created by primates, which goes along with the gorilla thing.
Unless it just is Bigfoot.
Yeah, it says Bigfoot. But if Bigfoot is a subcategory of gorillas,
then they would
or
make
a
sense for it to have
subspecies,
some of the same behaviors.
yeah, absolutely.
Especially if it's not too
'cause
far
there's
away from evolutionary
How many
line.
different primates are there? There's a lot of
There's
primates.
a lot of different
Yeah,
species.
like chimpanzee, I think is like the closest to humans.
Yeah, the chimpanzees are the closest that come to humans.
I hate chimpanzees.
Those things are vicious.
Yeah, they're mean as crap.
They can be
dude.
super sweet, but they can also be like
No, dude, they're horrible. I don't know. We'll get into something like that later, but like some weird animal attacks. I want to do an episode about that, or the animal attacks and stuff. Many alleged sightings are reported to occur at night, leading some speculations that the creatures may possess nocturnal tendencies. However, experts find such behaviors untenable in a supposed ape or human-like creature, as known apes, including humans,
sleep during the night and get up during the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Active during the day.
Most anecdotal sightings of Bigfoot describe the creatures allegedly observed as solitarily. Although the reports have described groups of being alleged observed together. So most of them are by themselves. If I would have to guess, I think that Bigfoot, if there was a male and a female, I think they would at least have one child, and the male might go somewhere else. Yeah. If I was thinking about more animalistic behaviors, I think that the male would just impregnate the female and then leave.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much how most animals are.
Not with primates.
Yeah, I'm not thinking primates though, because they act some like primates, but they also act more humanoid too.
Well,
especially with that video.
Kids too. Well, most of them do.
Yeah. Let's get into the alleged vocalizations.
Yeah.
Of them. Alleged vocalizations such as howls, screams, moans, grunts, whistles, and even a form of a supposed language have been reported and allegedly recorded.
Can you imagine being out in the woods and just hearing something that sounds kind of human, but not really human at the same time?
Well, I mean, how many cryptids do that, though? Like Wendigos, Bigfoots, Skinwalkers. I mean, like, you're taking your life in your own hands when you hear stuff like this.
Yeah.
And especially howls. I mean, that could be a wolf. That could be a bear mating call. You don't know.
I've heard some pretty weird sounding owls before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so,
it's
if you're from somewhere that isn't,
if you grew up in the city,
yeah, you're not going to know a lot of sounds that you'll hear in the forest and stuff. So it would make sense that some people, and obviously we're not talking about the people that live their entire lives, around those areas and, know what they're talking about. But I'm talking about like somebody that comes out of the city that has never really been outdoors too much, goes out in the woods and hears, a normal sound like an owl or a mountain lion or something like that. They're going to think, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be like, what? Some of these alleged vocalization recordings have been analyzed by individuals such as retired U.S. Navy cryptologic linguist Scott Nelson. He analyzed audio recordings from the early 1970s said to be recorded in the Sierra Nevada mountains, dubbed the Sierra Sounds, and stated it is, quote, this is a quote from him, "It is definitely a language. It is definitely not human in origin and could have not been faked." So he said it's not faked, it's not human, and it's a language.
Yeah.
So right there, I mean, Les Strode has spoken of a strange vocalization he heard in the wilderness while filming Survivor Man that he stated sounded primate in origin. The majority of the mainstream scientists maintain that the source of the sounds often attributed to Bigfoot are either hoax, anthropomorphization, or likely misidentified and produced by known animals such as owls, wolves, coyotes, or foxes.
Right.
Wow, that was a big ass word. Okay, I'm not gonna try it again. I think I said it right. If not, leave a comment.
Anthropomorphic is what you're looking for.
Yeah. A story, or these are alleged encounters. A story from 1924. So here's your first sighting right here.
Mm-hmm.
Often referred to as the Battle of Ape Canyon, presents miners being attacked by a large, hairy ape men that threw rocks onto their cabin roof from the nearby cliff after one of the miners allegedly shot one with a rifle. In Folk, Arkansas in 1971, a family reported that a large, hairy-covered creature startled a woman after reaching through a window. This alleged incident was later deemed a hoax.
Wow. Yeah, that's going to be the case with a lot, too. If they haven't already come out as hoaxes, they'll probably be exposed as hoaxes before too long.
Absolutely, yeah.
But eventually, if they're real, we'll find them.
Yeah, eventually.
We'll run into one.
We're spreading out.
And get solid evidence at some point, whether it's a live one or a dead one. We'll find something.
I'm hoping.
We might have already found, and the government might just be covering up, but I don't know why they would. I don't understand what the point of covering up something like Bigfoot would be.
I don't either.
I can get aliens. I just don't understand why they, what would be the point unless they're trying to protect them.
No. I'm hoping Forrest Galante finds them.
He's a Bigfoot hunter?
No, he is a extinct animals. Like he hunts animals that are supposed to be extinct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he most of the time finds them because he's really good at his job.
Yeah.
In 1974, the New York Times presented the dubious tale of Albert Ostman, a Canadian prospector who stated that he was kidnapped and held captive by a family of Bigfoot for 6 days in 1924 in Tobo Inlet, British Columbia.
At least they let him go.
Yeah, I think that dude was crazy. I don't think he was just trying to get away from his family. Man.
So now that's another question that we need to ask ourselves, though.
He was probably cheating on his wife.
Probably.
It got caught.
That was his excuse.
It was like, oh shit, Bigfoot had me.
Bigfoot kidnapped me. That's another thing we need to ask ourselves: is the type of diet that Bigfoot would have. Would they be an omnivore like humans are, or would they have a primarily
with the deer skeletons,
diet, or would it be just a meat-based diet?
I think it would probably be an omnivore.
I would do too. I would
think
assume
he would eat meat and stuff, but omnivores, dude, like grizzly bears are omnivores. Mm-hmm. So when they eat humans, because they do
get
eat
a
humans.
taste for it.
No. They
I know lions and
eat
tigers
you
do.
while you're still alive.
Oh yeah, God, that'd be horrible.
Yeah,
that'd be a terrible way to die.
So if you survive the initial attack, the grizzlies will eat you alive.
Yeah.
Same thing. Well, I think polar bears, they kill you pretty fast. They're just giant creatures, but yeah, I think they're also, well, they're carnivores. They just eat you, whether you're alive or not.
They tend to stay away from eating humans, though. Most of the
polar bears.
No, bear. Well,
I was like, polar bears actively hunt humans.
Say, polar bears are a different story. But I'm talking about like black bears and grizzlies and stuff like that. Oh no,
black bears, they're unless
you're around their cubs or something. Usually,
grizzlies.
Okay.
Grizzlies will attack you even if they're very territorial. So if you come across one, cower in fear. In 2021, Hulu documentary series Sasquatch describes marijuana farmers telling stories of Bigfoots harassing and killing people within the Emerald Triangle region. In the 1970s through the 1990s.
They just wanted some weed.
I think they were just high on their own supply. And they're like, man, I think I saw a Bigfoot.
There was a Bigfoot over there, bro. I just saw it. I swear.
And specifically the alleged murder of 3 migrant workers in 1993. Investigative journalist David Holthouse attributes the stories to illegal drug operations using the local Bigfoot lore to scare away competition, specifically superstitious immigrants, and that the high rate of murder of missing persons in the areas was attributed to human actions. I believe that. I think that was just using that to keep people away.
Yeah.
So basically, there's also been various reports of dogs allegedly being killed by a Bigfoot. A 911 audio recordings were made public in which a homeowner in Kipsip County, Washington, called law enforcement for assistance with a large subject described by him as being all in black, having entered his backyard. He previously reported to law enforcement that his dog was recently killed and it was thrown over a fence. Anthropologist Jeffrey Meldrum notes that any large predatory animal is potentially dangerous to humans, specifically if provoked, but indicates that the most anecdotal accounts of Bigfoot encounters result in the creatures hiding or fleeing from people. So they don't think that
they hunt
Bigfoot,
people.
They're not going out of their way to kill people or dogs.
It's usually if you're in the territory or threaten them in some way.
Say that they...
That one story about the teenagers or whatever, they shot one of them first and then they started throwing the rocks.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like they just steer clear unless it's self-defense.
Okay. So let's get into possible explanations of Bigfoot.
Okay.
So, misidentification. Bears.
Yeah, gorillas, bears.
Yeah. Most of the time, what people are seeing are black bears. Because when they stand up, they're about 5 to 7 feet. Grizzly bears are about 8 to 9 feet, which is they're both in the range of
I feel
Bigfoot
like
sightings.
most people would know what a bear looks like.
Not enough if it's in
At
the
a
distance.
maybe not. But
No.
if you're
And grizzly bears, black bears and grizzly bears, they pretty much stand up on their hind legs when they're trying to reach something, or grizzlies will do that back scratch thing. And if you're off in the distance, you don't have binoculars and stuff, and you're looking, and you're like, what is that? And it's like making weird noises and moving like it's kind of humanoid. You're like, that's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You know, So that I think most of the Bigfoot sightings are bears.
Yeah.
Also, another explanation is escaped apes.
Yeah, I was right.
Yep. Some have proposed the
Well, not
sightings
right,
of Bigfoot may simply be people observing and misidentifying known great apes such as chimpanzee, gorilla, or orangutan that have escaped from captivity such as zoos, circuses, and private owners.
Yeah.
This explanation is often proposed in relation to the Bigfoot-like skunk ape, as some argue that the humid subtropical climate of the southeastern United States
Wouldn't be
could
suited.
potentially support a population of escaped apes.
Would be good.
So like the warmer and more humid it is, the better
like
the apes is, because apes are from Africa.
Yeah.
So and it's like
Congo
it's
and
hot and humid there. So also humans have been mistaken for Bigfoot, with some incidents leading to injuries. People wearing ghillie suits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just
I could
walking around.
definitely mistake somebody in a ghillie suit as a Bigfoot from a distance.
Also,
if they weren't big enough.
Yeah. Also, there's different people that there was a escaped African slave that was attributed to a Bigfoot sighting.
Really?
Yeah, and there's been allegedly feral humans and hermits living in the wilderness that have been
I would believe
attributed
that
to
more
Bigfoot thing.
Than
Can you imagine feral humans?
yeah,
Ugh.
like The Descent.
Yeah.
That movie was horrifying when I was a kid.
And also hoaxes.
Yeah, that would probably be the most common.
Just absolute hoax.
I think I read one where a dude had claimed to find footprints, and turned out he was just putting on these really, really big feet that he had made and stomping around outside, and then claiming that he had found Bigfoot tracks.
Also, Bigfoot could be a population of extinct Southeast Asian ape species. Gigantopithecus blackie.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah.
It's Gigantopithecus, and it was a giant ape in like prehistoric times.
Yeah, and they think that they may have migrated on the Bering Land Bridge to the Americas.
I can see that for
sure,
but I don't
never went extinct.
Yeah, they just kind of found a little niche that they inhabited and kind of just hung around there.
They also could be extinct humanoids.
Yeah,
Neanderthals, or even something older than Neanderthals.
Yeah, or maybe a completely undiscovered species.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I personally feel like that would be one of the funnest things ever to do, though.
Go Bigfoot hunting?
Yeah, just pack up a bunch of camping gear and different
happens,
stuff.
Dude.
Oh, God, yeah, I know that. But, man, that would be cool. Same thing with the ghost hunting, though. I've always wanted to do that, too. Go to some place that's supposed to be really haunted, and then just stay the night there or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And just well, for one, I mean, would you be scared?
Me?
Yeah. If you heard the howls and everything,
if something happened, I'm not gonna lie and say I wouldn't be scared, but I wouldn't be scared going into it, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't go in there and freak myself out thinking that there would be something there, but I wouldn't like ignore something if something crazy happened. Like, say we were gonna stay somewhere and like some kind of poltergeist activity or some shit happened, and stuff was flying out of the cupboards and stuff. Yeah, I'd be a little bit freaked out. Or if we were going out Bigfoot hunting or whatever, and I heard something that I didn't know what it was. Yeah, I might get a little freaked out. But just walking around the woods, no, I wouldn't be scared.
By the way, that it was in Ohio is where this woman swears she recorded a Bigfoot.
And that was a week ago, right?
That was a week ago.
Yeah, they're saying that it was just coyotes, but...
yeah, it was suggested that it was coyotes, but we'll definitely put a link in Instagram feed for that one.
Yeah,
and also in the YouTube video. So the original video, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about that for a little bit. Original video of Bigfoot.
Yeah. The 1960s one?
Yeah. All right. The Patterson and Gimlin film, also known as the Patterson film or the PGF.
This is the most famous one, right? This is the one that everybody who knows what Bigfoot is has seen at least at some point.
And you can find it on YouTube. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It was shot in 1967 in Northern California and has since been subjected to many attempts to authenticate or debunk it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have not been
able to do so yet.
The footage was filmed alongside Bluff Creek, and it is along about 25 logging road miles northwest of Orleans, California.
Mm-hmm.
So the filmmakers were Roger Patterson and Robert Bob Gimlin. Patterson died of cancer in 1972, but Gimlin is still alive at this moment.
Right.
Gimlin has always denied being involved in any part of a hoax with Patterson. Gimlin mostly avoided publicly discussing the subject, at least as early as the 70s, until about 2005, except for 3 appearances.
So he's pretty much kept to his story that it was
legit. He's literally legit.
Yeah.
The film is 23.85 feet long, preceded by 76.15 feet or 23.21 meters of horseback footage. Has 954 frames and runs for about 59.5 seconds at 16 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
If the film was shot at 18 FPS, as Grover Krantz believed, the event lasted 53 seconds. The date was October 20th, 1967, and according to the filmmakers, although some critics believe it was shot earlier.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it is a hoax, they've definitely committed.
Yeah. So basically, when they saw this creature come around, and they believe it is a female, just the way it moves and the way it looks, Patterson initially estimated its height to be around 6'6" to 7 feet.
Mm-hmm.
It later raised his estimate to about 7'6".
Wow.
So basically, Gimlin, he said 6 foot. I mean, you really can't tell. There's really not that much stuff in there.
Right.
They were about 25 feet away from the creature at its closest. And the way it walked a distance about 120 feet before,
disappeared out of sight.
Yeah, disappeared out of sight. And the way it moved and the way it articulated its thing, they said it couldn't have been a man in a suit.
It could not have been?
No, it could not have been. Because
Just
humans move a certain way, especially if they're in a bulky suit.
Yeah.
So the way it articulated and looked back and kind of like that, it was more.
So whatever they think it was, they don't think it was human.
No, they don't think so. Think it was human.
So at least they can agree on that.
I think it is a Bigfoot.
Probably. I think that's probably our only legitimate
proof
footage.
of a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But let's get down to the brass tacks.
Yeah.
Right? The big evidence that could possibly end the debate forever.
Oh, whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, end the debate forever for scientists and cryptozoologists everywhere that Bigfoot is real. I'm talking about the Bigfoot's genome DNA that Melber Ketchum has discovered. A Texas-based forensic scientist.
Where did he get the DNA from?
It's her.
Oh, where did she get the DNA from?
Well, she got it from different people. People send in the DNA and stuff, and they test it and everything.
They test it? Okay.
Yeah. So, Texas-based forensic scientist Ketchum, who had first announced that a genome was in the works, led author of paper eventually described it. The paper became the one and only publication of an online journal, De Novo. It is still the only one to appear there. So, literally, they
don't have any DNA to compare it to, though, do they? So how do they look at that DNA and say, "Oh, this is Bigfoot," if they don't have any previous Bigfoot DNA to go off of?
Well, this is what she said. It's non-human hair. It's clearly non-human hair. It was washed and prepared forensically, and it gave a human mitochondrial DNA result. That just doesn't happen. That's her quote. So it's humanoid, but it's not human.
That's interesting.
So, and that right now is going. They took the genome. The process started in 2019. It's going to take a while. I wouldn't. We're not going to hear anything for another couple of years. COVID kind of slowed all that crap down.
Watch, we're going to be 20 years down the line, right?
No, knowing our luck, it's going to be a week.
No,
because every time we do an episode, something comes out.
Something else comes out. Yeah,
around.
Like every time that we do a subject about something, that thing always some new development comes out.
Like we did John Wayne Gacy,
and then they found a body like a week after we had said, all of it.
Really?
No, but I was talking about like in 20 years' time, right? They're going to use that DNA and they're going to clone Bigfoot to try to reintroduce them into the wild. Watch. It's going to be like...
I don't think they're ever going to clone or bring...
They already have.
They're talking about bringing back the woolly mammoth, but
no, nothing like that.
You can't do that.
Not with today's ecosystem.
Once something's extinct, you can't bring it back because it messes up the entire ecosystem. It completely
ruins the food chain.
I mean, look at pythons, right?
If they were to do that, it would have to be so closely related to something that is currently not extinct, and therefore could fit in the same kind of. You don't think so?
No, absolutely. Woolly mammoths are like twice the size of an African elephant.
No, I know. I'm talking about they wouldn't be able to live in Africa anyway.
No, they live up in Siberia and stuff. But no, I'm talking about pythons in the Everglades. Pythons are not indigenous to the Everglades.
Right. Who brought them over?
Just exotic people, exotic pets, and they just let them go when they got too big. They're literally killing the alligator population in the Everglades.
Yeah.
They're an invasive species.
Yeah.
Pigs are an invasive species.
Right.
And Texas, there's
Well,
a
at
lot
least they
more
taste
pigs
good.
than people. So, did you know? Sorry, this is a little tangent. Did you know that all pigs in the United States started from like 9 or 10 pigs from Columbus?
No, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
crazy, though.
Yeah, pigs aren't indigenous to America.
Huh.
Neither are horses.
There's a lot of plants that are like that, too.
Yeah.
We didn't have potatoes here at first.
Do you know tomatoes is an American fruit?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. We invented tomatoes.
What about oranges?
I have
Because
no idea.
Florida's known for
I,
being the orange state. Do you think that they
I'm not a fruit
I was
expert.
wondering.
All I know is about the tomato because I heard it somewhere. But anyways, guys, that was the evidence. They have the DNA of Bigfoot.
Well, they don't
know.
know.
Case closed.
They don't know. They say
Case
it's
closed.
non-humanoid, but humanoid.
Case
they,
closed.
They can't necessarily say without a doubt that it's
Case
Bigfoot.
closed. Bigfoot is real, guys. Bigfoot
Okay.
is real. I'm laying it all down on the line right now.
Well, we've never been a completely factual podcast, so I guess, if you end up being wrong, it's okay.
Well, I don't know, but I
I'm obsessed with
100% believe that Bigfoot is real.
I think it could be. Or at least at one point could have
That
been.
and
I think it probably died out by now.
he is the star of one of my favorite kids movies,
What?
Harry and the Hendersons.
I love that movie.
I love that movie too,
Oh, I
and
should've
it makes me feel like.
I haven't even thought about that movie so long.
Do you want to watch it tonight? We can watch
I
it
don't
tonight.
know, maybe.
We can watch it tonight. So while we have a movie to go watch, thank you guys for listening. Follow that link below to all the greatness we have on our link tree, and we appreciate you guys listening. And
absolutely.
next week, you know what we're doing?
No, what are we doing?
Billy the Kid.
Ooh.
We're going back to the Old West. We did Jesse James with Trey, and we're going to do Billy the Kid next week. It's going to be an amazing episode. Might be a two-parter because Billy the Kid had a short but eventful life.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for listening. What do you think about Bigfoot? Do you think he exists? Do you think he's real? Do you think it's a hoax? Do you think this DNA will actually finally prove that he is real and out there? And,
Yeah. Let us know.
yeah, absolutely.
Comments,
emails, everything.
Any social media platform, pretty much.
Thank you guys. This has been the Dartarian Show, and we are signing off.